Won't you be seated, please? Members of the Senate, members of the House, ladies and gentlemen, we are here today for the purpose of signing the Cancer Act of 1971. And I hope that in the years ahead that we may look back on this day and this action as being the most significant action taken during this administration. It could be, because when we consider what cancer does each year in the United States, we find that more people each year die of cancer in the United States than all the Americans who lost their lives in World War II. This shows us what is at stake. It tells us why I sent a message to the Congress, the first of this year, which provided for a national commitment for the conquest of cancer, to attempt to find a cure. And now, with the cooperation of the Congress, with the cooperation of many of the people in this room, we have set up a procedure for the purpose of making a total national commitment. I'm not going to go into the details of that procedure, except to say this. As a result of what has been done, as a result of the action which will come into being as a result of signing this bill, the Congress is totally committed to provide the funds that are necessary, whatever is necessary, for the conquest of cancer.
So I want to welcome you guys to what we're calling Battle Ready. It's a cancer killer makeover. It's all about cancer prevention. They've been talking about finding a cure for how long? Years. Do you think they're going to find a cure at this point? No. This is not about finding a cure. It's about preventing it from happening in the first place. Now tonight I'm going to go through some things with you. Before I even get started with anything I'm going to talk about, I want you to understand that I'm not a cancer doctor. I'm not your oncologist. And I'm not going to pretend to be. I'm not going to pretend to know everything there is to know about cancer, because I've done so much research, and I realized last night when I was still doing more research that I got to stop because I'm only touching the tip of the iceberg. I want to teach you guys things that I know about cancer because I've lived my life in fear of cancer. Because I lost my mom when I was 12. My mom was diagnosed with lung cancer when I was 12, and she passed away 9 months later. So the things I'm teaching you here tonight, is the purpose of that is to really help you understand what it is, because if we know what it is, we have a better chance of preventing it in the first place, right? Yeah. So some of the things I might say tonight, you might not agree with, and that's okay. I don't want to offend anybody because I know some of you are dealing with it right now. Don't feel bad. The whole purpose of tonight is really to give you guys an understanding of what I know, because I know more than a lot of people do, and I want you to know what I know. Because like I said, I've lived in fear of getting cancer. My grandparents died of cancer, my mom died of cancer, and I'm thinking, if you're thinking what we've been taught, which is now it's all in the genes, right? So if it's genetic, who cares? What does it matter how I live, because it's gonna happen anyway? That's so wrong, okay? There might be a genetic component to cancer, but do you think there's more cancer now than there was 100 years ago? How can that be genetic? Genes don't change in 1 or 2 generations. They change over thousands of years. So to say that it is a genetic-only disease is wrong. So what I'm going to teach you tonight is, why are we getting more of it now than before? I had this workshop completed a month ago, and then I ran into a book, read it, and said, I need to stop and start over. So where's my book? Wait, I don't know where my book is. Okay. I'm going to grab my copy. I grabbed copies for my staff. We've all been reading it. I've read it twice. It's called Tripping Over the Truth. Highly recommend you get this book and read it if you want to know what I'm going to teach you tonight. It's pretty easy to understand. What's the matter?
You hear Christmas music and you can't figure out where it's coming from.
The gym. Oh. They're cranking out reps to Christmas music.
It is really loud. Like it sounds like it's in here.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
That's not our music, is it?
No, it's we unplugged my phone. Okay.
See if they can turn it down. Yeah. So it's okay, but this book changed everything. It's about metabolism and a metabolic disease. I am going to take the knowledge. So this is for anybody. Anybody can read this. There is some biochemistry doctor stuff in here that might go over some people's heads. I'm going to try to take that information and teach it to you tonight and make it make sense. So you don't just glaze over going, I didn't understand that. I don't want to skip over the most important parts because I don't understand biochemistry. Okay? I'm going to break that stuff down here for you tonight. We're going to talk about current treatments for cancer. Talk about what nutrition has to do with it. We're going to talk about some supplements that you can take that can help. In fact, I had to do my continuing education this past weekend, and one of the classes I was allowed to take, because I asked for it, was all this stuff I printed up for you. It's about what nutrients kill cancer. I'm like, how timely is that? I'm going to take that class, and I'm going to bring it to my people. Okay? So these are actually my doctor notes that I printed out and made for you. I highlighted the things I thought were pretty pertinent and information. I left a lot of stuff out because it was boring. I found this to be the most interesting stuff that I put in here for you. And if you are dealing with cancer and you want to bring some research, medical research to your oncologist, this is all cited. All the medical research is already here for you. Okay? All right. So, and if you are, I see some people I don't recognize, which you're not part of our practice. I want to welcome you to our practice. And I want to let you know that if at the end of this you decide that you would like to be part of what we're doing here, we're going to give you an opportunity to do that also. Okay? All right. Now, as you know, I like to talk, but I love to answer questions. So there's not a Q&A at the end. It's, you have a question? Ask me. Okay? All right. So, 1971, we declared the war on cancer by a government. That was probably the step one in the wrong direction, right? When you get politics and governments involved, you think they're doing it.
As long as we're having a war, though.
Right? Okay. You got to keep money coming in somehow. Right. It has not gotten better. It's gotten worse. Raise your hand if you know somebody who has had cancer in the past. Just for those people that can't see what I see, there is not a hand that's not up. Raise your hand if a loved one, friend, family member has passed away from cancer. Again, just about every hand is up. So we've all been affected by this. And it's not good. And it's getting worse. The stats don't lie. This is from the American Cancer Society, which happens to be here in Atlanta. 1.9 million new cases were diagnosed in 2023. 609,820 people died in 2023 due to cancer. That's 1,670 people every single day are dying of cancer. But when I was doing research, it was very positive. We're making strides in the war against cancer, right? Our survival rates are better. Listen, when you start looking at the medical research, I'm trying to put it nicely. I'm just not. It's BS. Yeah. Any of us can manipulate numbers when we start talking about percentages. I can make anything look good, and we can make it look bad, depending on how I want to manipulate what kind of point I'm trying to make. Because they're saying the survival rates are getting better and all this stuff, yet we've gone, between 2003 and 2012, death rates have decreased by 1.8%. Is that a stride? Is that a huge stride? They're going to be like, well, we're moving in the right direction. Maybe, yes. Okay, it's not getting worse. That's what they're saying. Okay, that sounds good. But here's what you don't realize. What numbers are they really, where are they getting those numbers from? It has to do with survival rates. If you have beat the war on cancer, that means you've lived 5 years after your diagnosis. 5 years, you passed away 5 years one day, doesn't count. So you have to understand these numbers are skewed. This is not good. If you look at the global numbers, like actually what's going on, it's not getting better, it's getting worse. Here's some statistics for you. We have, in the United States, 7th highest rate of cancer. Only 18% of people that are diagnosed with cancer survive 20 years past their diagnosis. That's nauseating to think about. That's scary. Men are more likely to get cancer than women. It's one in 2 men, 1 in 3 women. It's the biggest killer of people under the age of 75. And this was kind of crazy. Ages 45 to 64, cancer kills more people than the next 3 causes combined. Is this a problem? Yes. It is a huge problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually have, because we've been reading this book together, I'm going to bring my staff up a couple different times. I'm going to have Whitney come up, and she's going to talk about the common cancer treatments right now and what they're saying is saving people's lives. It did happen very fast.
Okay, so can anyone tell me what the 3 most common types of treatments are? Yeah, that's the trifecta right there. Surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation. So we're actually going to dive right in. Oh, I have someone pushing the button. This is super exciting. So with surgery, as we all know, surgery is where they're going to open us up. They're going to use different knives and tools to actually go in and cut out either a portion of the tumor or they're going to cut out the entire thing. I feel like a lot of times when we're doing research, there's not enough information out there about this, but while some surgeries can be really successful, what they're doing during those surgeries, they're coupling it with pain meds, antibiotics, and they actually cut out healthy tissue around the cancer area, so that can actually lead to more bleeding down the road. And if they cut out lymph nodes, that can lead to edema, which is like swelling in the arms and the legs. And
sometimes it can actually make it spread.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So there are risks, but sometimes they're successful. So again, pros and cons.
Absolutely. Up next, we have chemotherapy. Now, chemotherapy, I like to call it a drug cocktail. Does anybody actually know where chemotherapy came from? It is a poison, yes. So in World War I, it came from mustard gas. They were pulling men out of the sea and finding that they had severe damage to their lymph nodes and to their bone marrow. So somebody had the bright idea to take this chemical compound and put it into people with cancer, and it actually showed success in killing things, but it didn't just kill the cancer, right? So chemotherapy, there have been over 700 drug cocktails created, with one showing success without side effects. And that one actually never made it to clinical trial. So he's going to...
Yeah, have you heard of methotrexate before? That's the most common chemotherapy known, and that is derived directly from mustard gas. And they discovered, like she said, in World War I. I'm going to read this excerpt from this book. A few hours after injection, a patient is hit with waves of nausea, followed by vomiting as the body tries to rid itself of the poison. In the weeks that follow, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets drop precipitously as the cell division necessary for blood production is halted by the mustard compound. Bruises begin to appear as clotting is inhibited. Anemia induces a fatigue so consuming that patients are unable to care for themselves in the most rudimentary of ways. The chance of infection greatly increases from the decimation of the immune system, your one armor, the one thing that's going to help protect you, gone. As more time passes and the DNA of more cells is locked up, hair cannot grow and it begins to fall out. The rapidly dividing cells of the gut lining are killed, resulting in uncontrolled diarrhea. Black and tarry episodes result from intestinal bleeding. Patients become sterile from the poison's assault on the cells of sex organs. Mouth sores appears and the veins used to carry the drug to the rest of the body begin to darken. Right.
Right. But you don't have cancer? Exactly.
Well, the purpose of this is to kill everything. Take you to
bombing the city. So it's bombing everything.
It's taking you to the brink of death, stopping just before you die, and hoping that you come back to life without the cancer. That's what chemotherapy is there to do.
Okay. Yes.
I agree.
Now,
Now,
go ahead. Oh, that's right. So, okay, in 2000, we've read a couple different studies. In 2005, the cost of chemotherapy, anybody want to guess what that was in 2005? It was around $5,000. And around 2012, it skyrocketed up to almost $100,000 per case.
why? Doctors, and you know why? Because they can. Because they can, because they think that that's the only option, so they got you.
And before the drugs get to market, they have to go through clinical trials, and the clinical trials actually, the response to the cancer cells, or the cancer cells to the chemotherapy, only has to reduce for a 28-day period by 50% for it to go to market. So it's not based on survival rate of the person, it's based on the rate of the response to the chemotherapy. So they don't base it based on your life expansion.
It just needs to shrink the tumor. That has nothing to do with did that patient survive.
Upper screening instead.
Essentially, yes. But with radiation, a lot of times they couple it with surgery and chemotherapy. And radiation, they actually take lasers where they try to target an area, but they have to use different machines like CTs, MRIs, and ultrasounds to directly target that specific area. So you're not just getting the radiation that they're targeting you with, you're getting the radiation from the exposure of these different devices. And a lot of the times in radiation cases, you actually end up getting cancer down the road because it was spread to different areas of the body.
Because it was caused by the radiation treatment, causing mutations of genes, leading to more cancer to be made.
And I chose this section because it doesn't just make me mad because Dr. Muscle made me mad about it. 19-year-old me, coming back to the States from Germany, I found out I had ovarian cancer. Here we go. And I was dumb enough to allow myself to go into a clinical drug trial. And I made it about 9 months into the trial. I had every negative side effect that drug had. And if I had just known half of what he's going to teach you guys today, I would have never done that to my body. They told me I would never have kids. And because of the principles that he's taught me over the last 8 years, you guys know I now have 2 beautiful baby boys that I would not have had if I hadn't found this office. So you guys are in great hands, and I'm going to let him take it from here. Thank you guys.
I wasn't ready for that. Thank you. Great. Just going to cry the whole night, I guess. All right, we already did all this. Okay, so basically, when left to the medical model for cancer treatment.
I can come back to this part. Sorry, I forgot about this part.
Oh,
Okay, I'm done crying. So survival rates for treatments, I could only find one actual study that gave you a percentage of people with success, and that was about surgeries. And it was done in the UK, and what the study had came up with was after 2 years of someone having a surgical removal and making no lifestyle changes whatsoever, about 72% of people survived. At 5 years, it was less than 20%. When you try to find stats for chemotherapy and radiation, there's nothing. There's such a runaround. They don't have percentages. They can't actually let you know how many people survive from this because they don't take a look at a whole person and they don't look past 5 years. So that information is non-existent. You can try to look, I did, but you can't find information on the survival or the success rate of those studies.
it's pretty sad.
Typical government.
It is. And right now, what they're saying is your best protection is early detection. What? How does that make any sense? How is that prevention? How are we supposed to prevent it if you already have it? We're going to prevent it from getting worse, you already have it. Early detection? No. How about not get it? None of us want it. I don't want it. Yeah, okay, you found it early, good thing, right? But how about not get it in the first place? Is your doctor teaching you how to not get cancer? No. Well, yeah, he is. I'm right here. Come on. Yeah. So we don't need to focus on the wrong thing. We're looking for a cure. We're looking here when we should be looking at what's causing it in the first place. So instead of us all walking around with our fingers crossed, hoping and praying it's not going to happen to us, let's take it by the horns and figure out what the hell is causing this and make some changes to our lifestyle so we don't get it. Sound good? Yeah. Good. Because they already know what caused cancer in the 1920s. This guy won a Nobel Peace Prize for discovering it. Does that not piss anybody off? Mm-hmm. I get pissed off every time I talk about this. How do we know what caused it in the 1930s? He won a Nobel Peace Prize for it, yet none of you know what caused it. Because they're not telling you. Because they'd rather treat it than prevent it. Right here. And you guys probably already read this. Otto von Warburg, 1931, Nobel Peace Prize for winning this. Summarizing in a few words, the prime cause of cancer is replacement of the respiration of oxygen in a normal body cell by the fermentation of sugar. You guys are like, I don't know what that means. And guess what?
Sugar is everything.
That's okay. That's okay. Because in a minute, you're going to know more than your doctor knows about cancer and biochemistry and biology. You guys ready to go to school? Yeah. All right, because this is the part I can't wait to teach you guys. All right. Let's start off with a normal cell. Can everybody see this board? Thank you for letting us borrow this board, by the way. Okay, you're welcome to draw along with me, or at the end, probably easier, take a picture. Okay? All right. But some of you are kinesthetic and need to draw it yourself for it to go in the brain. All right. Going old school. Yeah, I like it. She's sketch artist up here. All right, we're going to start with a circle. All right. So that is a cell. Everybody on board so far? That is a normal cell. And a cell has what's called a cell membrane. That's the enclosure of your cell. What's that?
Picture.
Picture. Take a picture of that, right? It's a circle.
I'm in a picture.
Circle gets a square. Very good. Okay. Does anybody know what that cell membrane is made of? You can answer. My biology kid right there. Go ahead. Oh, no. On the spot. Phospholipid bilayer. Oh, got it. Yes. Okay. You don't need to know that. What you need to know is made of fat. Okay. So that is made of fat. It's made of specifically omega-3s and omega-6 fatty acids. They're also called EFAs, or essential fatty acids. But really all you need to know is healthy fats make up your cells. All right, making this super simple. Okay. What does that cell do? Well, it makes it look like a cell. But it's called semi-permeable, meaning it allows some things in and some things out. So what needs to go in? Oxygen needs to go in. Sugar needs to go in. What needs to come out? Waste. So we're going to have waste that comes out. So it lets some things in, nutrients in, and lets waste out. So far, so good? Mm-hmm. With me? Okay. We also have what's called the nucleus. You guys remember that from biology? Yep. All right. Do you guys remember what the nucleus does? Nope. Okay, it's the brain. It's the brain of the cell. It creates DNA. It basically tells all the other organelles, all the other parts of the cell, what to do and when to do it. Got it? Mm-hmm. Cool. That's really, don't need to know much about that. Then we have what are called mitochondria. Mm-hmm. We're going to science class. All right. Does anybody know what a mitochondria does? Powerhouse. What does that mean? It makes energy. Okay. Your cell, every cell in your entire body has one thing that it needs to do to be alive, and that is create energy. Cool? All right. It needs to make energy to be alive. That makes sense, right? All right. Then you have what's called your cytoplasm, which is all the goo in between all the cells and everything else. All right. Everybody on board? Everybody good?
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm going to go a little deeper here. I want to talk about the mitochondria. We're going to zoom in on one mitochondria. They look like potatoes. Look, baked potato. Don't eat those. Not good for you. Okay. What does the mitochondria do? We said it creates energy, right? Okay. The way it does that, it takes oxygen and it takes sugar, goes in and out. After all these reactions that happen, you don't need to know all that because that's very confusing, comes out as what's called ATP. Has anybody heard of ATP before? Yeah. Adenine triphosphate. Don't remember that. ATP is easy enough. ATP is pure energy. What's the job of the mitochondria? To take oxygen and sugar and create energy. All right. Now, I'm going to put this in terms of miles per gallon. Okay. This reaction right here is very effective and very efficient. It can take one molecule of glucose and oxygen and create 38 ATP. Sounds neat. You don't really know what to compare it to, so that's a lot. Okay? It's a lot. Now, we also have what's called, you guys know fermentation from alcohol, and take yeast and you add sugar, and what happens? It ferments, creates alcohol and CO2 and gas, right? Well, in your body, we take your cytoplasm will take glucose and ferment it we say ferment it, and it also creates ATP. It makes 2. So it will take glucose, split it, and you get 2 ATP. So which one is way more efficient than the other? The mitochondria. Okay? This right here is called cellular respiration. So if I were to go back and we look at Otto von Warburg, respiration of oxygen. That's your respiration of oxygen. Now you know what he's talking about. This right here is fermentation. All right? Is everybody follow me so far? Yeah. Clear? Good. Okay. Now, sometimes, most of the time, we need this. All right? This is going to be a very highly efficient way of making energy. What happens if we have an abnormal cell? I'm going to show you what an abnormal cell could look like. Oop. That doesn't look as smooth and pretty, does it? No, I didn't have tremors. It was not very happy. It's rigid. Now, why would it be rigid? What's the cell membrane made of? Fat. What kind? Good or bad fat? Good. Healthy cells are made of good fat. Now, what if we just eat a diet full of bad fats? What is our body going to do? It still needs a cell membrane, so it's going to take whatever you give it and make cells with it. So if we're now using trans fats, bad fats, all right, you're still going to make a cell membrane, but that is now going to be semi-rigid. So do you think oxygen is going to be able to freely flow in? Nope. But sugar can. Sugar can still get in. All right, so we have this abnormal cell down here. It still has a nucleus. It still has all the cytoplasm, all of those little dots everywhere. And guess what it still has? Mitochondria. But if the mitochondria are not getting oxygen, are they going to be used as well? No. They could become damaged. So in all the research, every cancer cell has damaged and less mitochondria than a normal cell. So if our mitochondria have become damaged and we have less of them, we are now forced to use what to make energy? Sugar. So now these abnormal cells are fermenting sugar. So when we ferment sugar, we also create something called lactic acid. Do you guys know what lactic acid is? So here's a great example. If we were to start to run, okay, and I'm not a runner, I don't enjoy running, but if you start running, you're bringing in lots of oxygen, you're going to be using cellular respiration. But now you're overusing the mitochondria, you need to employ your auxiliary backup, which is fermentation. So now it's bringing tons of sugar into the cells, creating more ATP, but it's also creating lactic acid. What happens to your legs after you're running? They start to burn, don't they? Yeah, that's lactic acid buildup. So when these cells are building, or they're using fermentation instead of respiration, that lactic acid builds up. And guess what that lactic acid does? It starts damaging the cell membrane. But your body is smart. What's it trying to do here? The cell is just trying to do one thing, that is survive. It's trying to survive in the environment that you have created. What if we're eating too much sugar? We're going to lead to fermentation. What if we never exercise? Do we have enough oxygen? No, if you don't have oxygen, what do you have to do? You have to ferment. You see where I'm going with this? We're circling back to lifestyle choices. If you don't have the oxygen because you don't exercise, it's going to lead to abnormal cells. If you eat bad fats, you're creating more abnormal cells. Now these abnormal cells are going, okay, well we're only making 2 ATP with this fermentation. It's not very efficient, but we need 38. What do we need to do? Well, we need to divide. Because if this cell can replicate itself and make more of it, we can create a bunch of cells making 2 to equal 38. So what it's going to do, every cell has a lifetime. They have a lifespan. They are born, they grow, they divide, they die. Keller, what's it called when the cells die? Apoptosis. He just walked in and says, I've been learning about cancer. It's apoptosis. I'm like, dude, awesome. Everybody say apoptosis. It's kind of a fun word. It means programmed cell death. It's supposed to die. Makes sense. Well, these cells, they shut off apoptosis because they say, we can't afford that. We need as many of us as possible to create the energy that this body needs to not die. So what does it do? It proliferates. It makes more. Because these cell walls are now damaged, it can spread to neighboring cells. Do you see how how cancer is started here? Have I lost anybody? Or just making so much sense, you're kind of like, whoa.
Well, where does sugar fit in? Because I was told that sugar feeds cancer.
It does.
So,
The only thing, so yes, so up here, oxygen, sugar goes into the mitochondria, energy. Here, no more oxygen. Sugar is the only thing that can come in. It has to ferment the sugar to create energy.
And the waste can't get out.
So does that mean I can eat candy?
No. Because if you have too much sugar, what's going to happen? So that's a good question. If you have too much sugar, it's going to pile that sugar in and say, we have so much sugar, we need to ferment. And the hallmark of cancer cells is it switches from cellular respiration to fermentation, and once it does so, it never goes back. It's supposed to be able to switch back and forth. But when you have too much sugar, not enough oxygen, it'll switch over, and it's done. It's over. It never goes back.
How long did the cells live?
Every cell is different. Every part of your body is different. So it could be a couple of days. It could be 6 months. Like red blood cells, what are 6 months before they are resorbed and made again? Yep. So, but your heart cells never die. So it's like kind of like neat. Yeah.
So the farther you run, the more sugar you're allowed to have.
Sure. I knew you were going to say that. I don't know why. I mean, it's also like, what's his name? Who's that swimmer? What's his name? Yeah, Michael Phelps. Have you ever seen what he eats for breakfast? I mean, I could not believe, because he swims so much. Of course, he for some reason eats McDonald's. I mean, he has like 8 breakfasts at McDonald's. Like, ridiculous. I'm like, oh, how are you still alive? Because he's burning so many calories that it never actually does anything. Right.
Is it the type of sugar too?
Go ahead.
Good sugars and bad sugars?
What's the good
Refined sugars, cane sugars?
It's all the same when it gets into your body.
It's all
It's just how quickly does your body break it down. Yep. Fructose is the shortest. So it's actually the worst for you.
Really? But that's natural in fruit.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what else is natural in fruit? Fiber. So if you eat 1 orange, that's okay, because the fiber is going to keep you from eating 10 oranges. But now we have a problem because people make orange juice out of 10 oranges, and they sit there and drink the sugar from 10 oranges with no fiber. They can do that because they don't fill up. And now you're going to get diabetes. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. When God created things, he had a plan. There's always fiber with the amount of sugar. Honey's the only one that's different. And the honey's also the only food in the world that doesn't go bad, right? Yeah. Okay. So cancer cells, no oxygen, sugar for a fuel, has an inflammatory environment because the toxins can't get out. The acid does not get out. It does not need a nerve supply because it's just going. It's rampant. It's no longer being controlled by the brain. And it has that acidic environment because of the lactic acid buildup. What's interesting to me is, if I asked you where heart disease occurred, what organ would you say it occurred in? Come on. The heart. Does it happen anywhere else? No. What if I asked you tuberculosis? What does that affect? Does it ever affect anything else? No. If I asked you what organs are affected by cancer, what would you say? You know why? That's why. We're talking about cells. Every in your body has mitochondria. You damage the mitochondria, you switch to fermentation. That can happen in any single cell in your body, which is why people were scared of cancer, because it can happen anywhere. It can happen to any part of your body. But now we're understanding it's not a heart problem, it's not a lung problem, it is a mitochondrial problem. So what we need to do is make sure our mitochondria are getting what they need. Now, this cell used to be normal. We put it in a poor environment, and what was the only thing it was trying to do? It was just trying to live. It was a survival mechanism, right? And every workshop I talk about this principle of chiropractic. The body is always doing the right thing at the right time. You have to trust the body. If you have a fever, is that body doing the right thing at the right time? Yes. If you are vomiting, is your body doing the right thing at the right time? Yes. I'm going to tell you guys, the more you trust the body, the better off you're going to be. Now, this is a crazy statement to make, but we just did it together. Cancer is the body doing the right thing at the right time. Doesn't that sound weird? I get chills thinking of it because it goes against what we've all thought, that cancer is the bad guy. Cancer, I can't catch cancer. You can't give me your cancer. Cancer is your body just trying to survive in the environment it was given. So what do we need to do? Change the environment. That's what the rest of this is about. Pretty interesting stuff? Yeah. We're going to reference this again throughout, but now let's get into some other things. There are 3 steps to preventing and even reversing cancer. Step 1, let's stop making it. Let's stop making it. Then we need to safely kill it. And then we need to rebuild and re-strengthen the immune system so we have body armor. So, step 1, how do we stop making cancer? Well, we need to change our environment. We need to make sure this environment will look like this environment again. Okay? This is, again, the stuff we talk about at every workshop. What is the cell membrane made of? Thank you. Who said that? Haley? Did everybody else forget so far? Okay, what is the cell membrane made of? Fat. Thank you very much. So what do we need to do to stop making cancer? Let's change our fats. Let's change our fats. What are the good fats we want to be eating? Omega-3s, olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, grass-fed beef, organic chicken, grass-fed butter. Yes, not margarine. Right? What do we want to get rid of? What are the bad fats? Safflower oil, corn oil, canola oil, vegetable oil, peanut oil, soy oil. Common allergens like casein and gluten, sugar and excess alcohol can all cause inflammation. Inflammation is the root cause of all the diseases that there are. So we need to reduce the inflammation. She's
crying because she can't eat the cake.
I think that might be why. I've never really looked that close at that.
Or she's having a bad day and what
They're giving her cake.
better?
Oh, okay.
Chocolate.
Everybody's got a different perception about that one. I don't know. I thought she was just diagnosed with something, was crying. I never even saw the cake. I didn't. I don't know. That's pretty funny. So we need actually to eat more fat. The standard American diet, the number 1 missing ingredient in that diet is healthy, good fats. So we need to eat actually more of those. They are critical, and if there's not enough essential fatty acids, those are your omega-3s and omega-6s, oxygen will become restricted, leading to fermentation of sugar, the Warburg effect. Cancer started.
Dr. Moss,
Yes,
how do you know if you're eating omega-3 omega-6?
that is a good question. I like to look at it as if I'm eating the food that I know I'm supposed to be eating, I'm getting enough. But are most of us doing that? No. So that's why I take a supplement on top of already trying to eat really well. So I take the optimal omega, which I'm going to talk about here in a few minutes. It's a omega-3 and the healthy omega-6s that reduce inflammation. Yeah. So this is it right here, the optimal omega. It just comes flying out of nowhere, by the way. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Impressive.
Should be a hockey goalie. Yeah. So this helps reduce inflammation and actually promotes healthy cell membranes. It's amazing how we're talking about the smallest thing we have in our body, which are cells. But if our cells are not healthy, we are not healthy. So omega-3s and omega-6s are in the optimal omega. A lot of you are already taking the daily essentials, which have that in there, so you are getting a decent amount, okay? But eating more good fats like avocados, That's really good. I love eating my avocados. Fatty, good fish from the cold water, not farm raised. That's another salmon, great to do. Okay, so there's a lot of different things you could do. Nuts are very high in omega-3s and omega-6s. I want to talk about ketosis. Raise your hand if you've heard of the keto diet. Yeah, everybody's heard of the keto diet. It's a big fad, but there's some really good stuff behind that. I can't tell you how many people say I'm keto. I'm like, no, you're not. No, because they're eating keto bread. That's not keto. It's marketing. Okay, I had a patient tell me she was eating keto bread. I went and looked at the ingredients. I was like, oh my gosh, don't eat that anymore. Okay, just because it says it's doing something good, it doesn't mean it's actually good for you. Okay, this is where these workshops that we're doing for you educate you so that you know when something's good, when something's not good for you. Now, ketosis. You can read some of the things I have up here, but this is pretty interesting stuff, especially coming from this book right here. Now, let's go back to the cells. We said the cells, cellular respiration, healthy cells need sugar and oxygen. Abnormal cells, no oxygen, just sugar. So if we were to not eat sugar anymore, what's going to happen to these cells? Bye-bye. You've just taken and starved them from their fuel source. Now, if you were to go on a ketogenic type diet, which means zero carbs basically, no carbohydrates whatsoever, because even if it's a carb and bread or a pasta, what do carbohydrates convert to in your body? Sugar. So when people say, I don't eat sugar as they're eating pasta, I'm like, that's not true. Okay? Carbohydrates are sugars. Again, it's how quickly do they become and assimilate as a sugar. Okay? Complex carbs, a lot longer. So if you're going to eat carbs, that's the kind of one you would want. But going back to ketosis, when you starve your body of carbohydrates for 7 to 10 days, you've run out of all carbohydrates, all sugars. What's your body going to do? The right thing at the right time? It's going to say, well, now we need another fuel source because we're all burned out. We have no more fuel. What's the next best fuel? Fat. And actually, Michael, it's actually the best fat, the best source of fuel. Because here's what happens. Your body starts to burn the fat, which of course we all want to burn fat, right? Lose a little bit of fat. But when you're burning that fat, your liver cleaves the fat into what are called ketone bodies. And ketone bodies, your cells, your healthy cells, can use. Your unhealthy cells, your cancer cells, cannot use. Now, I'm going to back up one step here and tell you something about the mitochondria. Inside the mitochondria, the cellular respiration goes through a lot of steps. Dr. Sidney, you want to teach them every step there is about cellular respiration? No. I didn't think so. I don't either. It's very complex. You don't want to know about it. Here's what I want you to know. It is very reactive. So I think about oxygen and glucose going in and the sparks flying everywhere and out comes the ATP. Well, there's a lot of banging around going on. There's a lot of rust happening. There's a lot of creaking going on. What happens? What's released? It's waste. It's energy, but the bad stuff that's flying off the handles? Free radicals. You guys have heard of free radicals before, I'm sure, right? Free radicals are not normal. They're common to be here. They're not good because they can actually do damage to the mitochondria. So through a normal course of cellular respiration, you do damage to your mitochondria, which is why one of the best things you could do to help keep your mitochondria healthy is take antioxidants. You guys all know what you've heard of antioxidants. You probably didn't know what they were for, but you heard they were good for you. And this is why they're good for you. They help reduce the damage done to the mitochondria and help repair your mitochondria so that it never shuts down. Is that getting louder?
Yes.
Everybody just check their phones really quick. I think it's in here.
Really?
It sounds so loud. Even put me back in the
I
back.
went over there, so it was definitely not me.
Somebody's cranking out some Christmas music?
I like want to hide.
The hole up there.
Oh no, that's kind of crazy.
It's not on it, like, in the office.
Sounds
Yeah.
like it's the wall behind us. That's what it sounds like.
Oh, we're going to investigate.
Hear it in that room.
I mean, I don't mind the Christmas music as long as you guys can hear. Hey, we found it. Hey, all good. I'm just glad we found it. Well, I don't like having silence anyway, so I didn't mind it, but if you guys couldn't hear, okay.
At first I thought there was like a little festive Christmas music.
Yes.
behind Nixon.
Right? Yeah. Well, I'm glad we found it. Problem solved. Okay.
I can't believe you did that.
All right. So going back to antioxidants. So antioxidants are important to neutralize free radicals from further damaging the mitochondria and even repair them. Can anybody name an antioxidant or two? What was that? Grapes? Blueberries? Vitamin C? Dark chocolate? Did you say that?
I did that. That was over there.
Oh, I don't know. Monica, okay. Okay. So antioxidants are important for us to eat. Lots and lots of dark chocolate, right? Is that what we said?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Glad we're on the same page.
so one of the ones I think is awesome is vitamin C. You guys have heard this before. This is what it helps. You've heard of selenium before? Mm-hmm. Selenium is a very strong antioxidant. You've heard me speak about glutathione before. Mm-hmm. That is the strongest antioxidant known to man, and your body produces it. Raise your hand if you've heard me talk about NAC or N-acetylcysteine. Yay, a lot of you have. Yeah, because NAC can actually help expel mucus from your lungs, but that's not why I take it. I take it because it is the precursor to glutathione. And during COVID, they were talking about how COVID affects your mitochondria. And guess what they pulled off the shelves? NAC, because it got people better. Oh, are you really that surprised? Just disgusted too, yes. Well, NAC helps your body produce more glutathione, which helps with mitochondrial health, which prevents cancer, COVID, all the other big bad things. All right, now I'm back to ketone bodies. Ketone bodies are clean. It's like rocket fuel for your mitochondria that burns super clean. So it takes the ketone body and oxygen, goes to the mitochondria, pops out 30 ATP with no damage. In fact, it can actually reverse damage to your mitochondria. How cool is that? And guess what? It's free. Stop eating sugar. Stop eating sugar. Now some of you are going, I already saw you. Like, oh no. No.
So I love fat. That's not surprising. I love
Is that all you want to tell me? I love fat.
I just love fat.
Yeah.
But how does that impact your cholesterol? So here you want to look at high healthy fats.
High healthy
of course.
fats. Mm-hmm.
But you still have this balance. You could have a high cholesterol of what's the good one?
HDL versus LDL.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a short answer, and then my long answer is watch the workshop that we have online about cardio health.
Okay.
It's called Heart Health, and I go deep into HDL, LDL, VLDL. I talk about inflammation. So cholesterol is not the bad guy.
Yeah, because I found I love, right? I have eggs all the time. It's like my natural eggs. We love to use butter.
Sure.
And I end up always checking the box for a higher cholesterol.
Mm-hmm. And the studies show that more people die of low cholesterol with heart disease than high cholesterol. And guess what? 80% of the cholesterol in your body is made by your body. So that 20% that you're adding, not doing it. Mm-hmm. Cholesterol is actually keep eating eggs, butter. Yeah, just eat it.
My kids will totally.
Oh man. Monica, I got.
So what about sourdough bread and whole grain milk bread, those kinds of bread?
So better versions of it, sure. Is it still a carbohydrate? It's still going to convert to sugar? Then I don't care. Yeah, the same. I have the same conversation about sugar, right? Honey, God put it here. Bees made it. Does it still convert to sugar? Still sugar? Still going to feed cancer? Yeah, minimize it. Now listen, I'm not telling you never eat a piece of bread ever again in your life. I'm not saying don't ever eat honey or a piece of cake in your entire life. Okay? What I'm saying is, if you have cancer, you should be pretty darn close to that if you don't want it to come back. Because a lot of people that have had cancer, they've made it, they survive cancer, and then they go back to what they were doing that created it in the first place because their doctor said, you're a survivor. You're done. Their treatments are over. BS. Your treatments are not over. You've killed the cancer. Now it's time to fix your immune system and make sure you stop making the cancer. But your doctor doesn't teach you how to do that. That's a huge gap in the system.
You don't make money on it.
Yeah, they're not making money off it.
Well, part of the issue with bread is that if you eat a highly processed bread product for sourdough, that's going to convert to sugar much quicker in your gut
Correct.
than a whole grain product.
For sure.
And that whole grain product is going to flush it from your system much quicker than a highly processed food.
100%.
But that's all the way through with rice and everything.
Brown rice, correct. He's talking about
the starch spectrum.
Yeah, he's talking about the complex carbs. They are absorbed slower. It's better for your insulin resistance. I mean, it's a lot better for your metabolism to eat those.
So if you're eating cakes and pies and things like that,
Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing that.
No.
You should be steering, getting away from that.
100%.
But whole grain products, oatmeal products, whole grain oatmeal.
Better, but not something I would ever suggest doing on a regular basis.
Correct.
Yep. Tracy, you had a question?
I was just going to comment about the cholesterol. I've been doing this intensively.
I'm sure.
And one of the things that I did find was the cholesterol levels or the problems that the cholesterol can cause is when they're trying to fix something in your body. Your body knows what to do when it's supposed to do it. And it's usually in a response to an inflammation, and so it's sending cholesterol to try to repair something that's inflamed. And the inflammation is
The problem.
worsened
Yep.
by grains and sugars.
Did you watch my video? Because you're just
I did not.
because you could teach it because that's you're saying it almost verbatim. Yeah.
That isn't a problem. It's a problem when you're eating the sugars and the carbs because then it's causing your cholesterol to do what it's not supposed to be doing.
Right. It's causing the inflammation. Again, body's doing the right thing at the right time. You need high cholesterol right now.
Okay.
That's it. I have patients that my cholesterol is high. I'm like, what was your dad's? It was high too. Did he die of heart disease? Nope. Well, then that's yours. How do they come up with normal numbers? They take it, 1,000 people, they average it all together and divide it by the number, and boom, that's normal now. And if you're above normal, you're high. If you're below normal, you're low. I'm not like everybody else every single day for a certain period of time, like 16 hours. Easy thing for, like I did it today, no big deal. I'm going to have dinner when I get home at 8. It's going to be a little late. But I'm not going to have lunch until noon tomorrow. Or breakfast. I skip breakfast, go right to lunch. So between 8 o'clock to noon the next day, how many hours was that? 16 hours. I fasted for 16 hours. Guess what I did? I drank a lot of water. Yeah. I help my body create ketone bodies, help repair the mitochondria. And in fact, when you are in ketosis, healthy cells will create more glutathione while you're actually starving the cancer of their sugar and their fuel. Pretty cool. Yep. So the other thing you could do, and I like doing both of these things together besides the intermittent fasting, is doing our Max Living Advanced Plan. Raise your hand if you've done the Advanced Plan with us before. Yeah, a lot of you have, some of you haven't yet. It's not hard to do. This will get you into ketosis, but it's not the ketogenic diet. I find the ketogenic diet to be more strict, more difficult, and not good for everybody. This is backed up just a little bit. You're allowed to have a little bit of carbs. So like the only fruit that you're allowed to have are organic berries and green apples and grapefruit. Low in sugar fruits. No mango, no pineapple, no papaya, all the good ones, right? Yeah. But you're also eating a lot more fat. So you're eating grass-fed meats, all right? You're eating your coconut oil, your eggs. When I make my vegetables, I slather it in grass-fed butter. I want as much fat in me as possible because that's going to be my fuel. And I'm going to tell you, the first time you do this, the first 7 to 10 days, you can ask your spouse if you have one, you're going to be miserable. Okay? You're going to think you're fine, but they're going to think you're miserable because you're going to be irritable and you're going to be pissy and all these other things. Why? Because you're starving your body of carbs and it doesn't like it. The first time it took me 10 days to go into ketosis. And how you know you're in? Well, you could buy test strips, but you know when you're in when you're starting to clean the house at 11 p.m. You're like, I have all this energy. This is awesome. Yeah, what am I going to do now? I just cleaned the house. I'm going to go wash the car. It's midnight. Get to bed. You have all this sustained energy. Why? Because you're using ketone bodies as a fuel source. What do we say about ketone bodies? They are like jet fuel, rocket fuel. They are repairing your mitochondria. They are clean burning. You're killing cancer. You're starving it. Okay? Now when I do it, it takes me about 2 to 3 days because my body's like, oh, he's doing it again? All right, we got this. We know what to do. So the more often you do it, the better. Now I'll tell you, if you want to do it, I would suggest doing it for 30 days the first time you do it. And do not cheat. The first time you do it, if you cheat, start over. You can be 7 days in going, oh, I think I might be there. Oh, I want a piece of pie. Boom, start over. You have to starve your body of the carbohydrates for it to flip the switch. And once it flips the switch, you're going to be like, why am I not doing this all the time? I don't know the answer. I don't know why you wouldn't. Yeah. All right, that's step one. We're going to stop making cancer. Step two is let's safely kill cancer. How are we going to kill cancer? Well, let's stop giving it what it needs to thrive. Let's eliminate all sugars. We're going to go ketogenic. We're going to go advanced plan. We're going to fix the environment. We're going to go from acidic to alkaline. Alkaline water is a good idea. Lots of greens is a good idea. Okay. Induce apoptosis through epigenetic manipulation. Ooh, that's a lot of syllables. Does anybody know what epigenetics is? Okay, I'm going to teach this to you right now because it's very important. At the beginning of this talk, we talked about genetics, and we said, oh, your genes do not control your outcomes, right? They are not telling you that you're going to get cancer or not going to get cancer. It's not a death sentence. Epi, does anybody know what epi means? Above. Oh, correct. Epi means above your genetics. So people talk about the BRCA gene. I had the BRCA gene, I'm going to get my breast removed. Okay, I don't know who it was. I talked to you the other day. That's happening. I'm like, okay, you don't have to do that just because you have this gene, you got a genetic test. What that means is you need to make sure that gene never switches on. Because genes aren't like, we're going to come on and off and every once. No. They're either off, like a light switch, or an on. There's no dimmer switch. It's either off or on. Off in a good environment, put in a bad environment, it's going to turn on and start creating genetic mutations. So what does that person really need to do? Change their environment. That's what epigenetics is. It's the environment that you're putting your genes in, which is going to dictate if they are expressed or not expressed. So epigenetics is something that you can control. Can you control your genes? No. You can control the environment that you're putting your genes in to dictate what's going to happen with them. Does that make sense? I find that to be pretty powerful and empowering to know that I'm actually in control. I feel like that really helped me go, I don't have to have my fingers crossed. I don't have to worry and stress about it if it's going to happen to me just because it happened to a lot of my family members. Because it's my choice on what lifestyle I'm going to live moving forward. Number 4, we're going to correct nutritional deficiencies. We're going to employ cytotoxic botanical compounds that can actually specifically kill cancer cells. Remedy inflammation like we were talking about, reducing sugars and bad fats. And we are going to increase oxygen. So let's talk about a couple of these things. Curcumin. You guys have heard of curcumin before? You guys have maybe not heard of it. You've heard of turmeric, right? So turmeric that's turmeric root. That's what it looks like. Curcumin is the active ingredient that is a cytotoxic compound that's actually the active part inside of turmeric. So if you're taking turmeric supplements, you're not getting as much out of it as you would if you were taking curcumin supplements. Curcumin is the actually part that you're trying to get. Does that make sense? Now, whenever I do juices, I always throw turmeric root into my juice. I juice it because I want fresh curcumin and turmeric in my body to kill cancer. Not only does that happen, can it kill cancer, it actually reduces inflammation in the body. So I've taken this because my joints hurt. I've told patients to take it for your sore knees because arthritis, anything that ends with itis, is inflammation. Arthritis is inflammation of the joints. Let's reduce inflammation. Well, stop eating sugar, take some curcumin. That's usually my go-to thing. Okay? Now, I want to read this study to you. So lab results for curcumin said that curcumin is capable of impeding vascular growth that is needed for cells cancer cells to continue to get their sugar. They induce a tumor-suppressing gene. They stop metastasis, which is the spread of cancer cells. And they kill large B-cell lymphoma cells, which is the most common reason for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. At the MD Anderson Cancer Center in 2011, researchers found that curcumin, this is really interesting, curcumin extract effectively differentiates between cancer cells and normal cells and activates apoptosis, cell death, only in the cancer cells. How cool is that? And what drug company made that? God's drug company. Yeah, it's called Nature. Yeah. How cool is that? So curcumin, pretty good stuff. Now, curcumin is in your daily essentials. So a lot of you are taking these every day. They're in the men's, they're in the women's multi. But if you want to take more, which I would suggest if you're dealing with inflammation or dealing with cancer, we do have a version called Curcumin Plus. So this is a lot stronger than just taking this. So this is something I would recommend if you're dealing with cancer.
And what about arthritis?
Arthritis, I would add that to it, the Curcumin Plus. Yep. All right, I have a short video I'm going to show you about my favorite supplement, vitamin D.
And now the new study linking vitamin D and cancer in a way we've never heard before. Doctors know that low levels of the vitamin can lead to a host of illnesses, but now research suggests that vitamin D might actually hold the key to fighting cancer. John McKenzie has a story.
The studies just keep coming, the evidence mounting. Low levels of vitamin D are now linked to so many illnesses, from breast, colon, and prostate cancers, type 1 diabetes and asthma, to multiple sclerosis and heart disease.
I even think of vitamin D as the fountain of youth, if you will, in that it allows us to age well.
At least that's the hope. And nowhere is the evidence more compelling than here in the laboratory.
So all the work here is on vitamin D?
Yes, we've got
Professor Joellen Welsh has spent the last 25 years studying the powerful effect of vitamin D on cells.
These are human breast cancer cells growing in the flask.
Taken from a woman who had breast cancer?
Yes.
Now watch what happens when you add a potent form of vitamin D. Within just 4 days, half those cancer cells are dead.
It looks like the cancer cells have basically shriveled up and died.
The longer they're treated with vitamin D, the more of an effect we see. What happens is that vitamin D enters the cells and it triggers this cell death process. It's similar to what we see when we treat cells with tamoxifen.
A drug used to treat breast cancer?
Yes.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. It's a very dramatic effect.
That was just the beginning. Researchers here then took human breast cancer cells and injected them into mice. Tumors quickly began to grow, but when the mice were treated with vitamin D, the tumors began to shrink. Look, this one was reduced to half its size. The one here disappeared entirely.
That's pretty good. Yeah. And where do we get vitamin D? Oh man, another free vitamin. Don't you just love that? It's so cool. The unfortunate thing is, none of us are outside with our shirts off for 30 minutes a day. We don't work outside, right? That would, well, depend, unless it's in your own yard. Yeah. I did ask anybody if they ever ate outside naked for 30 minutes, and it was your daughter. Yes, you remember. Yeah, she's like, I do. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to ask that again. Yeah. So, this chart is pretty cool. You guys have probably seen me use this before. I think it's a very interesting chart about vitamin D. So basically, what I want you to pay attention to is the very top number. I'm sure you guys can all see that. Yeah. That is your vitamin D level in your blood. On this chart, it goes from 6 all the way to 68. Basically, when you see a color, it tells me if your level is here or lower, you're going to get whatever disease this is. So if your levels are at 20 or below, you're going to get rickets, which is softening of the bones. You may have heard of that before. Nobody's really worried about that anymore, right? Okay. Problem is, when you go to your doctor and get your vitamin D levels tested, there's a range. It's called normal, 20 to 68 or 20 to 80. Well, if yours is at 21, guess what your doctor just told you? It's normal. You're fine. Well, that means you're right here. Anything on the right now is fair game. Any of those colors. So even if you're at 34, which they would say, oh, your vitamin D is actually pretty good. Well, you're still going to have a heart attack, men. You're going to have non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, colon cancer, and breast cancer. So instead of looking at all these little things, what do we really want? We want our vitamin D levels on the other side of all the colors. Because if your vitamin D levels are on this side, you're going to minimize your chances of getting any of those diseases. Because your vitamin D, like they said, not only can it kill cancer, it activates your immune system. Your immune system cannot function with vitamin D levels low, which is why those things are allowed to happen. Well, the dosage that the USDA recommends is 600 IUs. And that dosage, so every USDA recommendation is so you don't get the disease that's associated with the deficiency of that vitamin. There's only one disease that's associated with the deficiency of vitamin D, which is rickets. So if you don't want rickets, take 600 IUs. Bare minimum, just like thiamine and niacin, all the different B vitamins that you could take the least amount of and not get that disease. That's the recommended dose. I want the therapeutic dose. Now, that is a good question. That's going to be everybody's. Now, I think that there are vitamin D tests that you can buy and do yourself. I think I'd rather do that than have to go to sit in a doctor's office and ever even be in there, right? I don't know the answer to that. I have never done it. I haven't had mine tested. I feel good, so it means I'm healthy, right? Yeah. Thank you. I love you guys. Yes. All right. So I do think taking a decent dose of vitamin D every day is a good idea. Okay. So what you can do when you leave here is you're going to go to Costco and you're going to buy the cheapest one they have. Yeah. Right. So, but it says it's good for you, right? There's 2,000 IUs. There's 600 capsules in there, and it says it's good for bone and immune health. At least they got that part right. Right. Cheap is good, right? No, cheap, no good. Because what's in it? Number one ingredient, soybean oil. Didn't we just tell you about soybean oil and how that's bad for your cells and causing cancer and inflammation? Why the heck would we take that one then? You got to check it out. You got to see what's in it. I can tell you, I've had a lot of people going and buying supplements elsewhere. I have no problem with that. Okay, the only reason why I have supplements here because I know that what I have is good. It works. It's been tested. It's high quality. It's absorbable. It does what it says it's going to do. I've had patients say, well, I did all the things you said and it didn't work. I'm like, well, what supplement? I'm taking vitamin D. Which one? Oh, I got it at Walmart. I'm like, all the things. There's versions of things, but I'd rather you, if I know it's going to work, I'd rather you just do that. Okay? Going cheap on things that don't work. And my stuff is stuff. It is what it is with the pricing. Yeah, it's safe. Yeah, and I would never give you anything that I didn't trust myself. Yeah, because there's a lot of junk out there. So we do have vitamin D. It is one of our supplements that I highly recommend everybody be on. Most of you are taking it. Every capsule has 5,000 international units, but it also comes with 10 billion CFUs of a probiotic. Probiotics are good for your gut, which is good for your immune system. It also has prebiotics, which is a insoluble fiber, which feeds your probiotics, which makes it healthier. It allows the probiotic to live. And when you take a probiotic with D3, the D3 is much more absorbable, which is really the most important aspect of that. Now, let's move on to step 3, which is to rebuild the immune system and healthy mitochondria. So, a couple things we can do nutrition-wise. There's a theme here. Reduce sugar. Okay, I think I've ingrained that into your head by now. Okay, reduce sugar, processed foods, and bad fats, because what is our cell membrane made of? Fat. We want good fat, right? Because we want the oxygen to be able to come in, the sugar to come in, and the waste to get out. Intermittent fasting, what's that going to allow us to create? Ketones, ketone bodies, jet fuel, rocket fuel for our mitochondria, help repair our mitochondria while we starve the cancer cells from their sugar. We're also going to add EFAs, which are your essential fatty acids, which are your omega-3s and omega-6s. We've talked about that. And our antioxidants. Let's talk about antioxidants for a second. We talked a little bit about them. Vitamin C, selenium. Vitamin E is a very good one. And then there's something called ECGC, which is from green tea. Now, if you go through this pack here, and I don't remember where the heck it is, man, this pack is full of good information. Okay? It talks a lot about breast cancer specifically. It talks about colon cancer specifically. It talks about prostate cancer specifically. And there was one in here Let's see if I can find it. Green tea and cancer prevention. That's not the one I wanted to talk about. Oh, folic acid was another one. And then vitamin D was one. Curcumin. Oh, it's the front one. There's the first one. It says antioxidants right in the front. Yeah. I did. Antioxidants is part of that. So, well, maybe I spoke too soon. Yeah, I saw that one. What was it I wanted to see? They were talking about a combination of nutritional antioxidants that was added to the treatment, which was vitamin C, vitamin E, beta-carotene, selenium. They were talking about GLA, gamma-linolenic acid, which is in your fish oil that we have, CoQ10. Darn it. I had a list of all the ones that they were talking about, but they're all in here. But the reason why I wanted to show that to you is Max Living actually just came out with something new called Cell Repair. And we've had it for a couple months. I didn't really understand why we had it. I bought it because I was like, oh, it's something new. Didn't understand why we would need it. Now I understand where it's coming from. I'm going to read you the ingredients because it's pretty interesting because there's a lot of stuff we talked about. Antioxidants like vitamin A and selenium. Glycine alpha-lipoic acid, very strong antioxidant. It's got vitamin E. It's got the ECGC in there from green tea extract. It's got a mushroom in there. Lauric acid, which is it's an antioxidant that is actually found in coconut oil. So it's really good for when you put it on the skin. Quercetin, rutin, transresveratrol, lutein, lycopene, and astaxanthin. These are all, this is just a big bottle of antioxidants. How much is it? For you? $200. Yes. Hey! How much is this? $55.99 for this. Yes, so and we're going to get to that here in a few minutes, but we did put some packages together for you guys. And anything you want here tonight is 10% off. If you do one of our bundles that we put together, and I'll talk about that here in a minute, it's 20% off. Okay? But it has a lot of things that are in there. I was like, oh my gosh, that's in there, and that's in there, and that's in there. So I was like, oh, really? They did a very good job of creating this new product, the Cell Repair. For your bowels, probiotics, on a regular, I think the 10 billion CFUs that's in the vitamin D is a good maintenance dose. But if we want to really pump it up, you can also do a separate probiotic. I did not put that together for you. And then chiropractic regular checkups. Because what's in control of your immune system? Your spinal cord and nervous system, right? If you're subluxated, can you be healthy? The answer is absolutely not. Now, this is very interesting. At the microscopic level, all of us have cancer. We all have between 100 and 10,000 cancer cells in us right now. So I say the easiest way to prevent cancer is act like and live like you already have cancer. There's your proof. Do it now. Act like you already have cancer. Live the lifestyle that creates normal cells and not abnormal cells, and it will never get out of control. But what is it that causes some people for their cancer cells to become overbearing and out of control and become diagnosed, and other people to never know they even had it? What keeps bad things at bay in your body? It's your immune system. It is your immune system. So if your immune system's in tip-top shape and you're doing all the things to make sure your immune system's functioning properly, it's going to do its job, which is find the cancer, kill the cancer before it even became a problem. It never wants you to know about it. That's a good thing. But if your immune system is depressed and not doing what it's supposed to do, it's being interfered with for whatever reason, can it kill all the cancer it's supposed to? No. And then it can get out of control. So I have a video of your immune system at work killing cancer cells.
Inside all of us lurks a serial killer. A killer whose primary function is to kill and then kill again. These are cytotoxic T cells, a specialized member of our white blood cells. They patrol our bodies, identifying and destroying virally infected and cancer cells. And they do so with remarkable precision and efficiency. There are about 5 million T cells in a teaspoon of our blood, engaged in the ferocious and unrelenting battle to keep us healthy. These amorphous blobs move around quite rapidly, pushing out their leading edge and probing their environment as they go. When a cytotoxic T cell finds a cancer cell, membrane protrusions rapidly explore the surface of the cell, checking for the telltale signs of cancer. They kill their targets using poisonous proteins visible here in red. These cytotoxic granules move down special pathways in the cell called microtubules to the interface between the T cell and the cancer cell. The T cell punctures the surface of the cancer cell and delivers its deadly cytotoxins. This is very important in our bodies, where cells are packed together, as it focuses the lethal hit on the target and minimizes collateral damage to the neighboring healthy cells. The fate of the cancer cell is sealed. The T cell then moves on, hungry to find another victim.
Hello. So, as he just told us, 80% of our immune system lives within our gut. We have over 100 trillion microorganisms living in our gut, like right here in our stomach. So, and that is all what is comprised of the immune system. It controls how well we are metabolizing our food, and it's helping fight infection as well as being the main contributor to our immune system. What button do I push?
Oh, I got you.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So the importance of our microbiome is we want to keep it healthy. And how do we keep it healthy? One way is to minimize things that destroy it. A big one is antibiotics. So what do antibiotics do? Yes, that's right. They kill all the bacteria, the good and the bad. And a really big example of this is ear infections. So when we have an ear infection, that is bacteria in our ears, and they typically are going to treat with antibiotics. And are those antibiotics just going to be treating the bad bacteria in the ear? No, they're going to wipe out everything because that's what they're made to do. So when the ear infection is going away, that's gone. Do we have an immune system? No. So that is one way to help negate it, is by trying not to take antibiotics, or if you have to, for whatever reason, build it up with proper probiotics and prebiotics. And so it's not just medication, it's also in our meat sources, which is why we really want to focus on higher quality meats. This is why you mentioned earlier doing grass-fed beef or organic poultry, because a lot of times those are not treated by antibiotics. And another thing is diets high in refined carbs, and as we know, carbs turn into sugar, and sugar, just plain sugar, and processed foods. Those are actually going to be perfect food for the bad bacteria in our gut. So it's actually going to overpower the good bacteria. And additionally, the food sensitivities like wheat and dairy, chronic stress, and chronic infections can all just create an environment where good bacteria in our guts cannot thrive. So what do we have? So that would decrease our immune system. So we want to do things to increase it. And taking it back to how this kind of correlates with cancer is there's been about 5 or so years ago, if you told someone that cancer can be helped with just your immune system, like the bacteria in your gut, they probably would have laughed in your face because they didn't think it was a thing. But there are more and more studies showing that when you take certain bacteria out of the gut, it actually is showing that it's going to stop growth of cancer or slow it down, depending on the environment and the therapies that are given. So it all just kind of goes back. So happy immune system, happy gut.
That's right.
Yeah. And he will talk to you about supplements.
So, Dr. Sidney, what were we talking about the other day when we were doing this about bifidobacteria and skin cancer?
Oh, you want me to talk about that?
Yeah, just a quick second about that, because I found that to be interesting.
So that is one study. So bifidobacterium is a bacteria that lives in your gut, and what they were doing was they were taking it out of the gut, and they were treating rats with skin cancer, and they were showing that when you just used only the bacteria, it
it essentially treats the cancer growth the same as other therapies that are used. Big broad term is immunotherapy. There is like a whole thing with that. It can be like cells within your body that they use. It can be medications and drugs that they give you. It can be even vaccinations. That all gets dumped into immunotherapy. And so when you compare bifidobacterium with whatever immunotherapy they decided to use at the time, it treats the cancer cells the same. And then when they combine therapies together, it essentially stopped the growth. But that growth didn't stop until the bacteria came into the equation.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's bacteria from your own gut stopping cancer on your skin. Wow. Does that mean, I don't know, I'm not going to say it. Is everybody thinking what I'm thinking? Yeah. Okay. Let's not do that. Yeah, that was 100%. Sorry. Go ahead.
So my dad was a hurricane hunter. We grew up in the tropics, and look at me. I'm a blonde, redhead, light skin, fair skin person. I've had a lot of skin cancers over the years. So what is something that I may already take the supplements that I should be taking, but what do you suggest from what she just said about helping to stop skin cancer?
Sure. Well, some of the things that we talked about, I think would be a good idea going from the inside out, but from the outside, but from the outside in, I think coconut oil with lauric acid on it is very, very beneficial for stopping abnormal cell growth, and then frankincense oil. So I would actually take frankincense oil and mix it with coconut oil and use it as a moisturizer. And you don't have to do it every day. You could do it as often as you would like, but I think that would be a good thing to do for people that do have skin issues, skin cancers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, your sheets will be ruined. Yes. Get a flannel pajamas and just put it on before then and put the PJ. Perfect. You and your daughter can do that. Yes. Yes, there you go. Perfect. All right. I'm not coming to that party. Yeah. Did you have a question? Are you going to ask me something? Okay, so a couple of the bundle we put together is the men's or women's essential pack, because the essential pack has your vitamin D in it, it has the fish oil in it, it has magnesium, your vitamin B complex, which is high in folate and folic acid, which you'll read about in that packet, is very important. It also has the multivitamin. Yeah, that's got a whole bunch of good stuff in it. Also, I thought if we paired that with curcumin, inflammatory, the vitamin C is an antioxidant, and plus that cell repair, I think we're going to be in pretty darn good shape. Oh yeah, I forgot to change that. Thank you. We did the vitamin C powder. If you really wanted to switch it out, you could, but the vitamin C powder is higher dose vitamin C, and kids like it also because it tastes like oranges. Michael.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about magnesium and calcium.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't heard anything much about magnesium.
Okay.
But that's being promoted now as with calcium.
Mm-hmm.
To help bone density.
Sure.
And shore that up.
Yep. So for bone density, it's vitamin K, it's magnesium, it's potassium, and it's calcium, and vitamin D. Those 5 things together. We do have some stuff up front. I think it's a supplement, OsteoGuard. It's got all those things in it. If you are having like osteopenia or osteoporosis, those are good things. So is weight-bearing exercise. But magnesium, there's 7 different types of magnesium. They all do a couple of different things. The magnesium that's in here is magnesium glycinate, because it's easiest on the stomach and it's really good for reactions in your body, biochemistry reactions. If you wanted something to calm the muscles at night or move your bowels a little bit better, magnesium citrate would be the one to go with. I don't have that here, but it's a product called Calm. You can get it at Kroger. I actually have it at my house also for those hard muscle days or sore, or after you play sports. It's a good idea also. Or restless leg syndrome. Yeah, it's really good for that. Yep. So I did not put the NAC in there. So there is, let me just double check, because I think there might be a little bit in there is an antioxidant blend already in the men's, and there is no NAC. It's quercetin, it's a couple other things. NAC is considered controversial. Oh my God, I live by that name. Yeah. So that is why Max Living did not put NAC in the cell repair, because there's already been talk about pulling NAC from the shelves, not our choice. It's N-acetylcysteine. It is an amino acid. It's a compound that actually is the precursor to glutathione. So that is that antioxidant that is going to help repair our cells. And because it works so well, they're going to take it off the shelf. So we thought that if that does come true, we don't want this to be taken off the shelf too. So they took NAC out on purpose. I did not put NAC into this packet because through my research, NAC, like I said, there's conflicting information. In my eyes, NAC is awesome. I take it all the time. It's like my new favorite thing. I always want to take it. But I did read one thing that said if you have this specific type of cancer, it can make it worse. Well, I'm like, well, I'm not going to give that to anybody. I'll let them figure that out on their own, or I'll help them research that specifically on the side. So that's why I did not put NAC into any of our bundles. However, we do have it here. So if you want to boost the immune system, you have the crud, or you just want to have really strong antioxidants, NAC is awesome. Yes, roll the dice. Go for it. I'm going to roll the dice. Yes, Tracy.
Okay, so you said that NAC is a precursor, helps your body produce the glutathione.
Correct.
Yeah, that works.
Glutathione, yes.
So you can take a glutathione supplement, right?
You can.
Will that be as effective as the NAC, or does your body just not absorb that?
I think there's a benefit of taking NAC and letting your body create the glutathione from the NAC. Now, there are some times when I've had people detoxing, they're like severely toxic. I have glutathione here. It's fat soluble, so it's wrapped in fat. It tastes awful. Huh? Yes. Yeah, it tastes like sulfur. It's like brush your teeth right after. So I know most people are not going to want to take that long term. I think the NAC before then, because the NAC it also works as a liver detoxifier, differently than glutathione does. So I like the the NAC, and kind of give your body what it needs to do what it needs to do.
What can you take naturally to boost your glutathione?
I don't know if there's anything you can do specifically, but I know that when we are when you're fasting, your body will produce more glutathione. Mm-hmm. Yep. Now you
just a quick question.
Sure.
I read that you're supposed to take vitamin K with D3.
You can. Not necessary. You can. I have D with K. I also take D without K. I kind of go back and forth because.
What is the reasoning that they're saying that K should be in there?
I think it has to do more with bone. There's so many. Again, our formulas have changed so many times based on new research. And new research. Then you just want to say, throw it all away and just go lay outside at lunch, right? Because I just want, because it's all, no. Yeah, so, right, naked, got to be naked. So vitamin D with probiotic is good. Vitamin D with K2 is good. I've read curcumin by itself is great, but then I read curcumin has to be with black pepper extract for it to work. Then I heard that doesn't work very well. I'm like, you know what? That's why I don't have any hair left. It's just, right? No. That's the reason. All right, let's keep going. We're getting closer because I feel like the bulk of it, right here. You guys been staring at this? Yes. Question?
I don't know if you're going to get to this anyways, but I'm usually impatient.
It's okay.
So you started off with the normal cell with oxygen and sugar going in?
Yep.
Which is pretty much my lifestyle.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
So what happens if you remove the sugar?
If you remove the sugar.
What happens to that normal cell if sugar is being removed and not?
Oh, it's great. Because what you're going to do is you're going to starve your whole body of sugar, and you're going to go into ketosis, and now you're just giving your already healthy cells rocket fuel. You're going to burn fat for energy.
Now, what if you're... So my baked potatoes over there are going to be fine, right?
Your baked potatoes are going to be very, very healthy. Okay. Yes.
So,
yes, very good.
So if you're diabetic right now,
mm-hmm.
you watch your sugar.
Yep.
You're supposed to be watching your sugar intake.
Sure.
You can go it can be low sugar.
Correct.
Too, like
is it type 1 or type 2?
2.
Type 2? Type 2, I've had so much success reversing that with my patients because they've, your doctor says, change your diet and exercise. Then when that doesn't happen, then just take the shot. So you can actually reverse that through intermittent fasting, through periodic fasting, through ketogenic diets.
insulin, you have to be really careful with that.
Good call. Yes. Okay. All right, so we're going to switch gears here for the next few minutes. We're going to talk about toxins. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on here. We're running out of time. We've had so much fun talking about cells that we're running out of time. But if you want to dig deeper into toxins, I have workshops. If you guys have not been to our YouTube channel, I highly suggest you go there. It's on YouTube. It's Moss Family Chiropractic. Very easy to remember. But we have tons of workshops about heart health. We have it about toxins. We have it about nutrition. We have it about memory. I almost forgot. What's that? Yeah, exactly. So toxins can actually cause damage to the cell walls, damage your mitochondria. Even worse, they can damage your nucleus, which means that your DNA is going to be damaged. And then those cells are not going to function properly. And where do we find toxins? Correct. They are absolutely everywhere. You guys have heard you've been to it. I tell people right in the beginning, this is going to be upsetting because it's everywhere. Which is why we can never tell you to avoid toxins, because that's impossible. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to educate my patients, my practice members on how to identify a toxin and give you a better substitution for that toxin. Carcinogens. So most people think carcinogens are just chemicals. Guess what else they can be? What's that?
Fibers.
Fibers. They can be fibers, like asbestos. They could also be viruses. They could also be medications. I found this last night doing my research about how they affect you. And okay, so how do they affect your body? They change the DNA, they change the expression, and they can damage your mitochondria. But here, where did it go? Oh man, let me see if I can find it. Well, I probably deleted that slide going, I don't need that slide, but the notes underneath were good. Oh, darn it. Yeah, it's gone. It had to do with Tylenol. And Tylenol actually can cause cancer. There were some other things. I got to see if I can find a backup to this because it was really good. But carcinogens are everywhere. So one of the easiest ways to figure out where the carcinogens are is using the EWG as a resource. A lot of you have heard me talk about this. Some of you don't know what I'm talking about. The EWG is a database. It's non-for-profit, which is my favorite. EWG stands for Environmental Working Group. And they have a database online that will rate the chemicals in your house and give it a grade 1 through 10. I don't have anything in my house over a 3. 4, 5, 6 is moderate. 7, 8, 9, 10 is typically cancer-causing, hazardous to your health. They have 2 up here. One is for your cosmetics. One is for your cleaning products. They have an app you can use. I highly suggest using that as a resource. This right here is why my wife works for Beauty Counter. Beauty Counter is a personal care product company that is destined to make only safe and clean products. And my favorite part, and my wife's favorite part, is the mission behind it, is to change legislature to protect you. Because you, just like we, always thought if they sell it at Kroger, it must be safe. They would never put anything that caused cancer on the shelf. Blind faith. Man, were we wrong. And my wife right now is working diligently to be chosen so she's doing I forget what it's called. It's an incentive trip in 3 months. If she gets chosen, she gets to go to Washington, D.C. and actually lobby on your behalf to
or want to go.
Well, to hope that we can make a change somewhere up there, right?
Well, again with food jokes, did that one in wishing
But she is wanting to, at least, win this trip so that she can go and lobby on our behalf for change to the legislature, to our senators and our House of Representatives. So this is the only company that I know that is trying to make legislature change to protect us. So toxins, carcinogens can cause cancer. Yes, Sue?
We'll go back to Tylenol for just a second.
Yep.
So I take Tylenol.
Why? Yes.
Okay, well,
Done.
I admit it. I take it.
Yes.
As, for pain reliever.
Yeah.
Medication.
Yep. Mm-mm. Mm-hmm.
What about ibuprofen?
Just as bad.
What do you take?
Nothing.
Nothing.
You want to come to my house and look? We don't have we call it a medicine cabinet. I don't know why. It's not. It's first aid drawer is what it is. That's all. I mean, that's all I got. Yeah, we don't have pain medications. If you're hurting, you probably deserve it. You probably did. No, I'm talking about myself. I was talking to me. Like, I mean, my kids have broken things. Sander, my oldest back there, he broke his leg. Did you take any medication for the pain? What did I tell you to do? Suck it up. Deal with it. He's walking around with a broken leg. Yeah. But you know what? With what I'm doing with my children, they're dealing with the pain. Guess what they're learning? They're learning how to deal with pain, not like me. Okay, I was a baby. I was highly medicated. I was told if I didn't feel good, there's a drug for that. My kids, that's not an option in my household, is it, guys? No. So when my daughter broke her arm, they're like, oh, we're gonna give her some medication. I'm like, no, you're not. Why would you make her suffer? I'm like, she's not even crying. You're making her think that she needs something she doesn't need. No, thank you. Yeah. So when my kids get older, they're gonna be like, oh, suck it up, buttercup. Yeah. So again, healthy cells need what? Oxygen. And cancer cells need no oxygen and just sugar, right? So how do we get more oxygen to our cells? Exercise. Oh, it's already up there. Yeah, yes. So, I mean, look, this is huge right here. Exercise reduces the risk of breast cancer by up to 80% and colon cancer up to 40%. Exercise. Why? Oxygen. There's also strong evidence associating physical activity with decreased risk of endometrial, lung, prostate cancers, again by 40%. And the greatest risk reduction is those who are most active. So we need to exercise. Some of you, that means go for a walk. Some of you, that means go for a run. Okay, but think about it. The typical American, they sleep 8 hours in a bed just to sit an hour in their car so they can go sit at their cubicle for 8 more hours, so they can sit in their car for an hour so they can be exhausted when they get home because they did nothing, to sit on their sofa because they're exhausted for the next 3 hours so they can go back to bed. Huh. That sounds
American dream for you.
American dream, right? No wonder nobody wants to do anything. Nobody they just want to become like, the robot. Let them do all the things because they're so exhausted from doing nothing. Get up and move. I am afforded that luxury. I don't sit down. Do you guys ever see me sit? I don't have a chair here. I don't have a chair because we need to move. Okay? So if you have that job that keeps you sitting all the time, get up and move. Get a standing desk. Get a standing desk with a little treadmill so you're walking all day while you're typing all day.
Get a horse farm.
Get a horse farm. That boy works all day. He tells me all about it. Right? Movement. Now, movement's good, but you know what's even better? Exercising with a purpose. Raise your hand if you've done the Max T3 workouts before. Those hands are going. Go put them up higher just for a second. Not as many as I had hoped. Okay. That is true. So Max Living got cyber attacked 2 months ago.
Really? They got hacked?
They got hacked. Our websites were down for 2 months. All of our products, everything was down for months. And they just got back up everything except one internal site on our end, and the Max T3 is completely destroyed. Mm-hmm. So now they're working on rebuilding it from the ground up, which I don't know how long it's going to take. It's probably going to be a while. But the good news is Max T3, if you've never done it before, means burst training. High intensity, short duration training, which means 20 seconds on, as hard as you can, 20 seconds of rest. So when we did the Max T3 workouts, if we did the upper body workouts, pick 6 exercises, get a timer that goes 20 on, 20 off for 12 minutes. It's only 6 minutes of actual exercise and 6 minutes of rest. We did one yesterday. I am sore. Okay, I can't move my arm. It's very, very sore. And the heaviest weight I used was 10 pounds yesterday. So you don't need heavy weights. But the purpose of that is to get oxygen into your cells so we don't get cancer. And then we're going to burn fat so we don't get cancer. Yes?
Okay, is your body telling you that maybe you should do the 5 pounds?
I think it's telling me I need more Tylenol.
No.
You can ask my staff. If I'm not sore after a workout, I'm mad. Yeah, I like not being able to move because that means I did it right.
But your body is telling you something by being sore.
Yeah, it means that I did a good job yesterday. Yes. 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 All right, I want to get going here because I know we're getting close to the end here. The last part here is de-stressing, sleeping properly, and aligning your spine. 77% of people report that stress affects their health. The other 23% weren't asked. I don't know. Because, of course, stress causes you to lose your health. How do you feel when you're stressed? You feel stressed, right? You're irritable. You're anxious. Do you get proper sleep when that happens? No. And if you're stressed, guess what that does to your cortisol levels? Shoots up. When that happens, guess what happens to your immune system? Shoots down. Once you eat carbs, and then you eat sugar, what does sugar do to your immune system? It tanks it. We're allowing cancer to happen. We're allowing disease to happen by being stressed. What are the top 3 culprits for being stressed? Stop watching the news. Oh my goodness. I might be alone in this, but I'm not going to watch the news. I will be ignorant to a lot of things happening in the world on purpose because I like my bubble. Protect my bubble. And I protect my kids' bubble. Because if it's not happening to me or my family or the people around me, why do I know about it? If it's happening 5,000 miles away, I don't need the stress of that in my life. And and some of you are like, he's being ignorant. It's okay. Okay? Everybody does their own thing. I know you like the news.
No, I don't like the news. I don't
Good.
like the world.
I don't
the
like
environment.
Right,
I think
and
governments should create an environment for us to do all this stuff and live happy lives.
I agree, or they're not doing it. Right. And you know what? I don't know about the news, and I don't know anything about anything, and it's okay. I know about cancer and how to prevent that. Okay, I know how to be healthy. I know how to help you guys be healthy. That's what I want to focus on. I don't want to focus on things I can't control or don't affect me or my friends or my family.
When you vote, just make sure
You just tell me who to vote for, and I'll do it.
You do your
Just kidding.
homework and choose godly things.
Yes.
Because we see what ungodliness
Yes.
brings us.
No, I agree. I agree. Yep. Then you have social media, which is everybody's opinion about what's going on in the news, which is worse. Not only is social media bad when it comes to that, but now you have kids talking about kids and people being mean to people. Come say that to my face, I guarantee you won't. The reason why people are saying crap online is because nobody's going to punch them in the face. That's it. I can't tell you how many people that are popular stars are committing suicide because they're so depressed because they look at their Instagram and look at people, what they're saying about them. Come say these things to our faces. I guarantee you won't because you're hiding behind your phone. It's a lot easier when you're 10 miles or 100 miles away or 1,000 miles away or you have a fake account. So again, this is why I don't like social media. My kids, we've had these conversations. This is why I don't like it. It's not good, and there's more stress in our children. There's more anxiety than ever before in teenagers. If you're a teenager, it's addictive. If your teenagers are depressed, they're anxious, delete their accounts. Run over their phone. I don't care what you do. It's not good. And it's getting worse. And this is where I feel blessed, but I have so many patients. I say the number one cause of stress I hear, besides their kids, is their job. I touch your back. Oh my God, you're so stressed today. I had a bad week at work. It was a stressful day at work. I hear it all the time. Do you love your job? Do you love what you do? Then do it. If you hate it, what are you doing? You only get one life to live. Do what you love and find a way to make money doing it. I love helping people. I love inspiring people. I love teaching people how to live a healthier life. I feel like I have the best job in the world. And if you want to be a chiropractor, talk to me. Because we need more of us. And of course, stress and the cancer risk is really just about depressing the immune system. Still looking for that one thing, my notes, that I thought maybe it was somewhere else. Okay. Sleep deprivation, 1 in 3 people don't sleep enough. Raise your hands if you get more than 6 hours of sleep every night. Okay, that's good. Some people need 8, some people need 10. Everybody's different. Don't tell me I need my 8 hours. Everybody's different. I actually do better on less sleep. If I get 5 hours of sleep on a certain night, I'm like, yeah, let's go. I'm good.
And people shame you if you sleep too much, but it's like, well, maybe maybe my body's doing what it wants to do.
If you trust your body that it's doing the right thing at the right time, you can use that. You can use that at them.
Okay.
12 hours? Yeah, my body needs cake right now. Hey, yeah. So we need to focus on peace management. Who likes to laugh? Yes. My favorite date night is going to a comedian. My wife and I just went on Tuesday. I didn't even know who this guy was, and the guy was hilarious. My cheeks were hurting from smiling so much. We laughed so much. I mean, the guy, I don't know if you guys have ever been to the Punchline down in Buckhead. It's in the back of the Landmark Diner. The guy comes out saying, wow, this is great. I'm in the back of a diner, and I can't even sell it out. Like this is great. He goes, my career is going up. Yeah. So, again, going to see comedians, it's great. Laughing. And guess what laughing does? It boosts your immune system. Cool stuff. And if you don't want to go out and see it, look at them online. And what controls everything in our body, including our immune system? Absolutely. It is our nervous system. What is my job as your chiropractor? Is it to get rid of your pain? Align the spine, reduce the subluxation. So right now there are a lot of people in my practice that think I'm their back doctor. They think that I'm their pain doctor. And I understand that a lot of people started care in my office because they were in pain. But a lot of you that I'm looking at have been here way longer than you've had pain. Why would you continue to come here? Because you know what I actually do. The only reason why I put my hands on the patient is to remove interference that's keeping God from healing you the way you're supposed to heal. That is the only thing I've ever done. What your body does with that power then is up to you. It's between you and him. My job is just to find the interference, remove the interference. I've never healed anybody of anything. I never will take the credit because that is not what I do. No chiropractor heals you. No doctor heals you. No nutraceutical will ever heal you. God will heal you from the inside out. So if you're ever a patient thinking, I don't think I need to go to the chiropractor anymore, I think you forgot why you started. The only reason why you should be continuing to come is because it's a good habit. Just like exercise is a good habit because we don't want cancer, we want oxygen. We want to eat better because why? We want to be healthy, right? Well, how can any of those things even happen if your nervous system's subluxated? None of those things are going to matter at all if you're subluxated. My job as your chiropractor is to remove subluxations. For those of you that are guests, that means a bone in your spine has shifted out of alignment and is squeezing a nerve. You squeeze that nerve, wherever that nerve is now going cannot function properly, and that is called dysfunction. You leave that uncorrected, undetected, it will lead to disease. And now you're in a whole nother level. Now you're freaking out, and you're running to doctors, and what is the doctor's tool? Well, we're going to medicate you, or we're going to cut things out of you. Instead of, let's look and see what caused it in the first place, your power's been shut off. Well, darn it. How do you get your power turned back on? You go to your chiropractor. They find the subluxation. They remove the subluxation. They turn the power back on. And guess what your body's going to do with that power? It's going to heal itself. Because you are the only one that can heal yourself. Remember that. So how do you know if you have a subluxation? Well, most of you came here because you had one. My back hurt. I had a headache. My hands are numb. Tingling. My baby's getting ear infections. Those are warning signs that your body's not healing. If your body's not healing, you need to get to healing better. Remove the interference, your body will heal. Because medicine is the study of disease and what makes people die. Chiropractic is the study of life and what causes people to live. I think that's very powerful. That right there is why I love what I do. And for those of you that know me well enough, I was on my way to medical school. That's where I thought I was supposed to be. And I am so glad I changed my mind at the last minute. Because now we live drug-free, healthy, and in line with how God created us. When you live congruently with how we were created, everything's better. So, final thing, little recap. There's 5 things that contribute to health that we might do on a daily basis. Standard American diet, fried food, bad fats, lots of sugar, lots of bread. Too much stress in our life. Let's reduce our stress. Quit sitting all the time. Get up and move. You don't have to run a marathon. You don't have to go to CrossFit, but you need to get up and move. Reduce our toxic exposure and turn your power on from the inside out. Did you guys learn a lot here tonight? Yes. Awesome. Do you guys feel better knowing this and understanding this? Yes. Because I feel like this is like everything that you needed to know tonight. I could have stopped then, but there was more to talk about. It does. Yeah. It does. Well, thank you guys for coming.